Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Commissioners, for being here today. The FTC first implemented the contact lens rule in 2004 after Congress passed the Fairness to Contact Lens Consumers Act. The contact lens rule, at its heart, is very simple. It simply requires prescribers to give consumers a copy of their contact lens prescriptions. The reason for this is also simple, that contact lens consumers, as Congress determined and as the FTC has reiterated, need to have the opportunity to shop around to find the best deal. Now, Senator Klobuchar and I wrote to the Commission raising concerns that federal law was not being properly implemented and enforced, and that consumers don't always have access to their prescription. I was grateful for your response. I want to thank each of you for your unanimous agreement to finalize the new contact lens rule to help protect consumers against this kind of protectionism. Unfortunately, I'm hearing that there are some efforts underway to delay this important rule. And so I want to ask a couple of questions about that. Chairman Simons, we'll start with you. If this rule is delayed, particularly now when consumers are facing significant economic hardships in connection with the global pandemic and trying to socially distance, couldn't consumers end up being harmed? And specifically, couldn't it end up making it more difficult for consumers to shop around and to purchase contact lenses from their retailer of choice and at a lower cost?
Thank you, Senator, for that question. Yes, absolutely. The whole purpose of this rule.
Technology went out.
I think it has much more to do with the fact that Chairman Phillips was emotionally overcome at the importance of this to contact lens consumers.
Okay, Senator Lee, we had
I'll
some
move on and I'll ask some
problems.
follow-up questions of other members of the panel, and then we'll move back to Chairman Simons if and when we hear back from him. Let's move to you then, Commissioner Phillips. Optometrists argue in some cases, not all cases, but some optometrists are arguing that the compliance costs associated with the rule are great. Some have even argued that they can't do patient signatures because that would require pens to be disinfected between uses. Now, putting aside for a moment the fact that during COVID-19, optometrists should be practicing basic sterilization. Did the Commission examine the compliance costs, and if so, what were the findings?
Absolutely, Senator. As you know, the contact lens rule that we recently promulgated follows a very long process involving two proposed rules and taking into account some of the concerns about compliance costs, about health. All of those things are reflected in the final version of the rule that we published. But as you noted earlier, the concerns that animated Congress and that animated us also include having a sufficient degree of competition in the market, allowing and making sure that consumers have available to them their prescriptions for contact lenses, and that sales for those lenses not only be done by the prescriber, but also by other sellers.
Thank you. Now, Commissioner Slaughter, in your statement regarding the contact lens rule, you actually noted that Congress could go further to empower consumers. What additional reforms do you think Congress should perhaps consider in order to stop this kind of market protectionism? Perhaps we've lost Commissioner Slaughter as well. I can move on to a subsequent question. We'll pick up there if we pick them back up. I'd next like to talk briefly about another issue. Our country is in a nationwide debate regarding online political bias and censorship among certain big tech firms. It's sad to think that internet platforms, platforms that boast the ability to connect hundreds of millions of people and allow for the rapid dissemination of ideas and opinions, believe that they know what's best for the American people to read, to watch, and to listen, and to know what opinions are dangerous, even when they have no technical expertise in a particular field. In an effort to protect all viewpoints, a number of members, including myself, are asking whether Congress must amend current law as part of the solution and whether the FTC might play a new role in that. Chairman Simons, if you're back, I'd like to ask you, evaluating whether a tech company is following the terms of service is something that the FTC currently does, but having the FTC evaluate political viewpoints is much broader. Would FTC evaluation of online content for political bias or neutrality implicate the First Amendment? And how would the FTC go about evaluating for such bias? Can I ask the same question of Commissioner Phillips?
Senator, and happy to answer. Look, I think the process of content moderation is something that big firms face. It's something that a lot of small firms face. I'm not sure if my answer was clear earlier in the hearing, but we all recall with horror when press reports about the awful shooting at the Tree of Life Synagogue in Pittsburgh included reports about communication on a platform called Gab. So this isn't all just about large tech companies. It's a difficult question. At the end of the day, though, when it comes to moderating speech, the First Amendment is implicated, and that is something that we have always taken into account when we've done any of our work related to the content of speech with respect to kids' video games going back decades. And of course, the First Amendment is something we have to keep in mind as we went forward.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.